Imagine for a moment that your relationship with yourself is the most important of all, that every day you wake up with a deep sense of love and appreciation for the person you are. It sounds like an unreachable dream, because if you've ever wondered how to improve your self-love, if you've felt challenges in your relationship with yourself or with others, or if you simply seek a deeper and more fulfilling way of living, I encourage you to stay and embark on this journey of self-love. Before delving into the foundations of self-love, it's essential to understand what self-love exactly means. It is the relationship we have with ourselves, how we value, care for, and treat ourselves. It's a fundamental concept in emotional health as it affects all aspects of our lives, from personal relationships to psychological well-being. We live in a society that often bombards us with beauty standards, constant comparisons on social media, and overwhelming pressure to be perfect. In this context, self-love becomes a shield against negativity and self-criticism. As we explore the foundations of self-love, I want to remind you that we are all imperfect human beings, and that's okay. Learning to love ourselves is a continuous and compassionate process. So what are the fundamental bases for self-love? Let's begin with self-acceptance. It's a cornerstone in building self-love. In a society that often bombards us with unattainable standards of beauty and perfection, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism and dissatisfaction with ourselves. However, to nurture healthy self-love, it's crucial to learn to embrace our imperfections and differences. Self-acceptance is not about giving up or not seeking improvement. Rather, it's about recognizing that we are human beings, and as such, we are inherently imperfect. Each of us has unique characteristics and quirks that make us who we are. By accepting these imperfections, we begin to free ourselves from self-demanding and destructive perfectionism. We learn to treat ourselves with compassion and empathy, as we would with a friend going through difficulties. Self-acceptance allows us to let go of constant comparison with others and helps us focus on our own journey. By recognizing our imperfections as an integral part of our humanity, we free ourselves from the need for constant approval from others. We start to see ourselves with kinder eyes and appreciate our positive qualities. Self-acceptance is the first step on the path to building a solid and lasting self-love. By practicing self-acceptance, we embark on a journey towards self-realization, where our imperfections become part of what makes us unique and valuable, strengthening our relationship with ourselves and the world around us. Self-compassion, another essential foundation for building self-love, is a quality often overlooked in our society. Frequently, when we face challenges or make mistakes, our initial reaction is self-criticism and harshness towards ourselves. We judge ourselves relentlessly, blame ourselves, and feel guilty for not being good enough. This lack of self-compassion plunges us into a negative cycle of personal dissatisfaction. However, self-compassion invites us to change this dynamic. It's the practice of treating ourselves kindly in difficult moments, just as we would with a friend in need of support. We are often our own worst critics, but self-compassion reminds us that we are human and that we all make mistakes. It's not about justifying or avoiding responsibility, but addressing our difficulties with love and understanding. Practicing self-compassion involves recognizing and validating our emotions and experiences. It means being gentle with ourselves and providing the support and comfort we need. By practicing self-compassion, we cultivate a sense of warmth and understanding towards ourselves, nurturing our self-love and well-being. These are just a few of the fundamental bases for building self-love. Embracing self-acceptance and self-compassion can profoundly transform our relationship with ourselves, leading to a more fulfilling and authentic life. So, let's embark on this journey of self-discovery and self-love together. It grants permission to feel vulnerable and accept our imperfections without fear of harsh self-judgment. Instead of struggling against ourselves in times of adversity, self-compassion allows us to create a safe space for personal growth. In doing so, we foster an environment of self-care and self-acceptance that nurtures our self-love. Self-awareness is undoubtedly one of the essential foundations for nurturing self-love, and at the same time, one of the most challenging aspects of our journey towards a more solid and healthy relationship with ourselves. Often, we are so immersed in our daily lives, concerned about external expectations and demands, that we lose sight of who we truly are. We become passive spectators of our own lives without a profound understanding of our needs, desires, values, and personal goals. Self-awareness invites us to take time for reflection, to look inward and explore our inner selves. It's an introspective process in which we examine our experiences, emotions, and beliefs with the intention of better understanding ourselves. By doing so, we begin to identify what truly drives us and what truly brings us satisfaction. This self-examination allows us to map out our personal goals and values, empowering us to make decisions more aligned with our authentic identity. Self-awareness is not a one-time process, but a continuous practice that develops over time. It involves being willing to face uncomfortable questions and delve into our inner world. It's an act of authenticity with ourselves, a commitment to living more consciously and in accordance with our core principles. Authenticity is one of the essential foundations for the development of self-love, and it's a quality that is often underestimated in our society. Throughout our lives, we experience constant pressure to fit into certain molds, to act in certain ways, or to meet others' expectations. In this process, we often lose sight of our true identity. Authenticity, however, calls us to be true to ourselves and to live according to our deepest values and beliefs. When we are authentic, our actions and decisions are aligned with who we truly are, giving us a sense of integrity and satisfaction. It's an act of honesty with ourselves and others, allowing us to build a stronger relationship with ourselves and the world around us. Self-respect is one of the fundamental bases for building and maintaining self-love. Often in our personal and professional relationships, we find ourselves in situations where we allow others to disrespect us or treat us inappropriately. Sometimes we succumb to social or emotional pressures, allowing our own needs and dignity to be undermined. Self-respect involves setting healthy boundaries in our relationships and not tolerating disrespect, lack of respect, or manipulation. It's an act of self-defense and a statement of our own worth. By practicing self-respect, we recognize that we deserve to be treated with respect and dignity in all interactions, regardless of the context. Establishing healthy boundaries is essential for protecting our emotional well-being, and maintaining a positive relationship with ourselves are not about being inflexible or insensitive, but about establishing boundaries that reflect our personal needs and values. Self-respect empowers us to make decisions that protect our integrity and well-being, allowing us to maintain more equitable and satisfying relationships. Regarding the topic of self-love, it is undeniable that it is a fundamental aspect in the life of any individual. At some point in our lives, we have all faced challenges related to how we perceive ourselves and how we treat ourselves. Dr. Marian Rojas Estapé has masterfully addressed this issue by delving into the essential foundations that sustain self-love and its importance. For example, self-acceptance is an aspect that we often underestimate in a world that constantly presents us with standards of perfection. It's difficult to embrace our imperfections and differences. However, understanding that we are imperfect human beings and learning to treat ourselves with kindness in difficult times is a crucial first step in building solid self-love. The concept of self-compassion is also a key element. Too often, we are our own worst critics and judge ourselves relentlessly when facing adversity or making mistakes. Dr. Marian Rojas Estapé emphasizes the importance of treating ourselves with kindness, just as we would with a friend in need of support. This perspective helps us create a safe space for ourselves where we can learn and grow without fear of harsh self-judgment. Self-awareness is another relevant aspect that Dr. Marian Rojas addresses. In a world often driven by impulsiveness and frenzy, it's common to lose sight of our true needs, desires, values, and goals. Self-awareness invites us to look inward, to reflect on who we truly are and what motivates us. This understanding empowers us to make decisions more aligned with our authentic identity, ultimately enriching our relationship with ourselves. Authenticity and self-respect are two additional foundations that are often overlooked. Dr. Marian Rojas reminds us that being true to ourselves and establishing healthy boundaries in relationships are crucial for building solid self-love. Authenticity allows us to live according to our values and beliefs, bringing a sense of integrity and satisfaction. Self-respect protects us from toxic relationships and empowers us to maintain equitable and healthy relationships. In summary, Dr. Marian Rojas Estape offers an enlightening and valuable perspective on self-love and its fundamental bases. This topic is relevant to all of us because our relationships with ourselves directly influence our happiness and well-being. By understanding and applying these foundations, we can transform our lives and live more authentically and satisfactorily.